Welcome back into Sports Blitz Live. Wow, got a quick run in right there. Usually we have a sponsor segue. What's going on, Justin? Welcome back into Sports Blitz Live. Luke Robinson with you now. Want to welcome in a special guest, Elizabeth Sturdivant from 3yardsinthecloud.com. And she just has opinions on all things college football, specifically SEC, but want to get her thoughts on several things going on in the world of college football right now. And Elizabeth, thanks for being with us.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me.
Listen, isn't Twitter a wonderful thing? I mean, it's fantastic that so many different media outlets can network like this, because I probably wouldn't have known much about you if I hadn't found you on Twitter, and I read some of the things that you had to say and some of your thoughts, and it's really interesting. I encourage everybody to go check out 3yardsinthecloud.com and then start following Elizabeth on Twitter. But first and foremost, Elizabeth, I don't want to start out on a downer note, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to. I want to get your thoughts on this whole DeAndre Johnson thing at Florida State. What are your thoughts on what happened and Florida State's action to it?
Well, I believe that Florida State did the right thing by kicking him off the team. My only thought about that is I did watch the footage, and I guess I thought it was going to be worse than it was when everyone talked about it. But like, bottom line, a guy can't hit a girl, and so I think Florida State did the right thing. But you got to think, like, would he have been kicked off the team if he were a returning Heisman Trophy winner? I just don't know if that would have happened. But in this case, I think Florida State did the right thing.
Laramie Tunsil has been in the news for Ole Miss these past few days for everything that's been going on in his life. First, it starts out as a very personal thing with a fight between him and his stepfather, and now it's grown into this NCAA mystery. The talk that the NCAA is in Oxford now investigating this whole situation. Do you know anything going on with the Tunsil situation, and what do you think may happen?
I really don't. I have not kept up with that situation in Oxford at all. So.
Well, I'll tell you, it's very bizarre, and you don't know what's going to go on with NCAA these days, quite honestly, because for the last 4 or 5 years, they've seemed like a very toothless organization. Before that, though, they seemed to really chomp down on just about everybody they could get their mouth around. And so you don't know where things stand with the NCAA right now, do you?
No, they've been a pretty inconsistent organization for many years now, and I would like to see some change in regards to that for sure.
What about all the neutral site games that are coming up? This is something that I personally love, but I feel like I'm in the minority. I like to go see Alabama play USC in Dallas, or Auburn, Oregon in Dallas in 2019. You've got LSU playing maybe Michigan. No, it's Florida and Michigan in Dallas, and LSU is playing somebody else in there as well. You've got all the games in Atlanta. I know Alabama and Florida State are going to play there in the new stadium in 2017. I'm a big proponent of these games. I think it's a great way for fans to go see two teams that really want to see each other and play each other at historical powers without necessarily going to one of the smaller venues. It can be tougher to get to some of these college stadiums sometimes. I'm a big fan of them. What do you think?
I love them. I especially love Alabama playing Wisconsin, considering the whole Big Ten SEC rivalry that went on last year. I love it. I think it's great for college football. It's great for teams to, when they play, they have to step outside of their conference to play some non-conference games throughout the year. I love it when they step outside of their conference and they play a big game. It just adds to the resume. It adds to the excitement, and I think it's great for college football.
All right, Elizabeth, you're from Panama City. You make your way to Tuscaloosa to go to Alabama, and now you're in Los Angeles. How many college football games do you even get to go to a year?
I go to a few. You would be surprised. It's harder to make it to the games these days, but I have to get my fix every year. I always try to attend some games out in Los Angeles, too. I go to the USC games or the UCLA games. But it's just not the same. It's not the same environment that you get in the SEC, and especially not the same environment you get at Alabama at all. So, no question, I have to get my fix at least once a year, at least. But I try to make 2 to 3 games a year.
All right, you told me via email that you have a surprise SEC East team. Got to hear who that is.
The Florida Gators. No question about it. When you heard, I heard Jim McElwain say in the off season that this Florida team had some quote unquote deficiencies. But let's face it, to me, there was no question that the only deficiency on the Florida team was their quarterback. And Jim McElwain was hired specifically to come in and fix that situation. Look, it's Florida. They've been recruiting for years. And yes, they do have a young offensive line, and I think at the end of spring they only had 6 healthy scholarship players on the O-line. But come the end of the fall, they're going to have 12 healthy players in the offensive line. They've got a great running back in Kelvin Taylor. They have a national championship defense, and we all know that defense wins national championships. And they have a wide receiver, Demarcus Robinson. I think that Florida is one of those teams that's going to step up and surprise everybody this year.
All right, your website is 3 Yards in the Cloud. Got to ask, why that name?
I'm an old school style football kind of gal. And so when I came up with my show, I wanted a show title that represented that. So when going over different names for the show, we immediately thought of the running game because I like the running game. I'm sick of seeing this same offense that all of these teams are doing over and over and over again. And I love the old school style. And look, it won out. Ohio State won last year. They won the national championship on a solid running game. So I immediately went to the phrase 3 yards in the cloud of dust from Woody Hayes. And so we decided to name it 3 Yards in the Cloud because I'm over the airwaves now.
That kind of makes some sense. And tell people how they can get in touch with you. They can follow you on Twitter, Facebook, and also visit the site, right?
Yes, the site is 3yardsinthecloud.com. I also, my Twitter feed is at 3YITC. Facebook is also facebook.com/3yardsinthecloud. This year I'm going to have 2 shows per week, a college football show where I pick games against the spread, but deliver it in a real fun and entertaining way. And I'm also adding a fantasy football show as well, so I'm really excited about it.
Any fantasy football advice before we let you go?
Stick with the SEC. I love Odell Beckham Jr. I love Amari Cooper, and I think you can wait a little in the draft and take Eli Manning. He's in his second year with his offensive coordinator, and he's going to have Odell Beckham Jr. and Victor Cruz to throw to. So I like Eli Manning for that.
Good calls. I think all that is very good information. Elizabeth, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We really do appreciate it. Fantastic job, and we'll have you on again, okay?
Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it.
That was Elizabeth Sturdivant with 3 Yards in the Cloud. Go check her website out. Go follow her on Twitter and go look at her Facebook page. She's got some interesting stuff out there. We'll be back in just a minute with more Sports Bliss Live.